Part 1. Origins in the Crosswinds. In the autumn of 1774, Philadelphia simmered with restless energy. The air was thick with talk of liberty, taxation, and revolution. Among the planters, lawyers, and pamphleteers, there moved a young man named Thomas Caldwell, nearly forgotten in the history books. Born in rural Maryland in 1753 to a modest farming family, Caldwell had shown from an early age an uncanny gift for languages, ciphering, and a restless curiosity about politics and philosophy. His mother taught him to read the pamphlets smuggled in from London. His father, who had served in the Colonial militia, drilled into him a sense of duty. By 1774, Caldwell was 21, living in Philadelphia and seeking purpose. He took work as a clerk in a shipping firm that handled transatlantic correspondence. In that quiet office, he handled letters to and from London, Boston, Charleston. He watched the ink dry on petitions and manifestos. He overheard conversations. He absorbed secrets. He learned who believed what and who feared which secrets. When the First Continental Congress convened in September 1774, Caldwell was present in spirit more than body. He jotted notes, delivered small messages, and absorbed the mood. Tensions rose. Boston's Port Act, the Intolerable Acts, colonial boycotts, each new law piled insult upon indignity. The colonists bristled. Some urged reconciliation. Others demanded open revolt. Through that winter, Caldwell found himself gradually folded into the network of secret patriots in Pennsylvania and Maryland. He delivered notes between committees of correspondence, iced along back alleys at midnight, and memorized coded keys that instructed rebel cells. He had not yet chosen a side fully, but he was becoming indispensable. Part 2. The London Mission. By early 1775, the colonial crisis had escalated. The Continental Congress resolved to send envoys to London via unofficial channels, men with plausible cover and no formal commission, to present colonial grievances and perhaps negotiate before open war erupted. The idea was fraught. Sending a messenger would risk arrest for treason, yet it was judged worth the risk. Thomas Caldwell was selected, not for his pedigree or influence, but for his discretion, his adaptability, and his skill with codes. At 22, he left Philadelphia under the guise of a merchant's assistant, accompanying a cargo of tobacco aboard the ship Lion's Pride, bound for Bristol. In London, he moved carefully. His cover was credible. He engaged in trade with tobacco brokers, delivered crates, learned the political salons. But by night, he slipped into clandestine meetings with colonial sympathizers, merchants, journalists, and dissidents. He carried messages, gathered intelligence on Parliament's plans, intercepted correspondence, and whispered in the ears of reformers who still believed in constitutional rights for the colonies. His greatest moment came when he managed to gain access to a minor official in the colonial office under a false identity. That official, having grown disillusioned with the heavy-handed policies, leaked to Caldwell a draft of a new punitive measure, what would become the coercive measures. Caldwell smuggled that draft back to America, hidden inside a false Barnum chest of tobacco leaves. When the chest arrived in Philadelphia, Caldwell's allies opened it in a back room. The leaked draft revealed not only harsher taxes, but plans for quartering troops in private homes, controls over assemblies, and liberties to imprison colonial officials without trial. The knowledge galvanized many colonists. They saw that reconciliation would demand more than speeches. It would require force. Caldwell's mission had shifted the balance of debate. Part 3. Return to a Land in Revolt. Caldwell returned to America in late 1775 by a circuitous route through the Caribbean to avoid British warships. By then, skirmishes had begun, in Massachusetts, in Virginia. The Boston port was closed. The colonists had started militias. The die was cast. Now, Caldwell entered the inner circles of the Continental Congress's intelligence apparatus. He became a courier, a codebreaker, a cryptographer. He deciphered intercepted British missives, helped coordinate secret communication between rebellious colonies, and even aided in forging letters implicated in conspiracies to mislead loyalists. His close friend and fellow operative, Abigail Monroe, kept secret logs of his activities, drafted in cipher, preserved by her descendants. From those logs emerges a portrait: Caldwell riding alone through Virginia forests at night, evading patrols, hiding messages in hollowed pistols, organizing secret rendezvous across the Susquehanna and Delaware rivers, even once rescuing a fellow agent captured by loyalists by bribing guards and staging a midnight jailbreak. One dramatic episode stands out. In the winter of 1776, when Washington's army retreated across New Jersey ahead of the British, Caldwell was entrusted with delivering a desperate appeal to militia leaders in Pennsylvania. He rode nearly 100 miles in freezing storm over roads made worse by miles of refugee wagons and fleeing families, to warn of imminent British advances and to recruit reinforcements to block bridges. That ride may have saved Philadelphia from being cut off entirely. Part 4. The Betrayal and the Hidden Letter. By 1777, the war was bitter, the costs mounting. Caldwell's reputation had grown. He operated under coded alias T.C. Redwood. He was both respected and feared. But in war, shadows breed danger. One of Caldwell's closest contacts, Loyalist magistrate Elias Wainwright of Maryland, had secretly been playing both sides. Wainwright had pretended to support the patriots, passing messages, offering assistance, but secretly feeding intelligence to British command. Unknown to Caldwell, one letter he handed to Wainwright had been copied and forwarded to British generals, including William Howe. In the spring of 1777, a British detachment moved on a rebel supply depot in Pennsylvania. They surprised it, confiscated arms and ammunition, and captured or dispersed local militia. The rebels were stunned. How had the British known? A paper trail quickly pointed to the betrayal. Suspicion fell on Wainwright, but the evidence was circumstantial. Caldwell, furious, confronted Wainwright in coded correspondence. Wainwright denied betrayal, swore innocence, but refused to disclose his sources. Caldwell and his circle planned to trap him. They staged a meeting in the woods, demanded confession and surrender of documents. Wainwright fled. The patriots attempted to pursue, but he eluded capture. However, in Wainwright's abandoned luggage, Caldwell's men recovered a hidden cipher scroll. That scroll revealed the duplicity: correspondence to British commanders, dates, coordinates, even names of rebel supply lines. Armed with this, the Continental Congress quietly rerouted shipments, changed codes, and foiled British strikes. Wainwright was denounced, fled to Canada, and lived in exile. Caldwell's risk had narrowly averted ruin. Part 5. The Quiet After the Storm. After 1783, when the Treaty of Paris recognized American independence, Thomas Caldwell withdrew, quietly but deliberately, from public life. He settled in rural Maryland, married Abigail Monroe, and lived as a small landowner. He never sought office, never claimed credit for his clandestine services. His letters and logs heaped in family trunks, his name fading in the grand narrative of founding fathers. Yet Caldwell's influence endured. The diplomatic leaks he secured in London shaped congressional strategy. The signals he broke undermined British operations. The betrayal he exposed preserved supply networks. The counsel he offered to Washington and secret committees altered key campaigns in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. In their memoirs, later statesmen spoke of an unknown courier whose timely warnings made all the difference, or a cipher-minded clerk in Philadelphia who carried vital intelligence, but no name attached. For a century, historians praised the public committees, the generals, the manifestos, but not the invisible web spinners like Caldwell. It was not until the 20th century, when Abigail Monroe's family donated private papers to the Maryland Historical Society, that scholars uncovered Caldwell's alias, T.C. Redwood, and the hidden logs. Among those papers were cipher keys, coded letters, maps with smeared ink, false bottoms, accounts of midnight rides, and a final note by Caldwell. Though I bear no monument nor name in marble, let this micro-memory stand, that in shadows I labored for light.